morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. We're coming to you today on WJOP-LP Newburyport at FM 96.3 on Channel 9 and also on Newburyport Community Media's YouTube channel at ncmhub.org. I'm your host, Mary Jacobsen, and I am really pleased to welcome Sara Kelso to join us this morning. She's the new head librarian of our much cherished Newburyport Public Library. Sara has worked in public libraries on both the East and West Coast for 12 years. She's married to a Newburyport native who spent many formative years in our library. She says that she loves connecting with information and resources, and she's passionate about building community. So Sara, first of all, congratulations on your appointment as head librarian.
Thank you.
And I've been eager to meet you and learn about your plans for the library. But first, I would be really curious to find out, how did you first become interested in studying library science and building a career as a librarian?
Well, thank you, Mary. First of all, for taking the time to have me with you today. I'm so excited to share as much as I possibly can about the library and the wonderful things that our staff are doing to help support the community. Like many other of my colleagues, librarianship is a second career for me.
Oh.
I was always sort of a bookish kid, and I guess I'm dating myself now, but we always wanted to go to the book fair at school, and they used to sell these encyclopedia volumes at the grocery store where I lived, and I would beg my mom to take me every week so I could just get volume R, volume S. So I was sort of a bookish kid my whole life, and I ended up working in the aerospace and engineering field, and then biotech for a while.
Oh.
And there was a time at which I just felt like I was sitting in my sad little gray cubicle with the sad gray walls, and I just didn't feel like I was making a contribution to the world in the way I wanted to. My parents, neither of them completed high school, and they changed careers midlife and went into social services.
Okay.
And they found it really rewarding. Mm-hmm. So I took the leap. I quit my corporate job and went into a student position, and then several part-time jobs that kind of strung all together. And I got an opportunity to learn about all aspects of library work because I had a chance to sort of work through in tandem with my education through many different positions in public libraries. So it was really neat to see the big picture and see how much difference it makes in the community.
Well, that's a great story. First of all, I was a bookish kid too, and so let's just say here for once and all that bookish kids are the best.
We like to think so.
We do like to think so.
They are our primary candidates here at the library, yeah.
And I think that sounds like you have such an interesting background to give you kind of a range of knowledge that you could bring to bear on your work as a librarian. And I think I mentioned to you in an email when we were arranging this that in my opinion, I think we should just let librarians run the world because you know how to get accurate information. So
that part is really rewarding to be able to just synthesize that data and just to, we do love a good spreadsheet in the library.
So anyway, it's a movement. I may be the only one leading it, but reference to librarians especially in charge. So, well, thanks for sharing that story, Sara. It's really interesting, and I think it takes guts to change careers at any age. So good for you, and good for the model you had from your parents to help support you in that, because it can be a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it's scary to go back to school and to take the leap, but we do find a lot of folks start in the library maybe volunteering or just part-time, and then they say, this is actually really great, maybe I'll go to library school for this. And a lot of folks ask you, library school? What is that? Do you have to have a master's degree to be a librarian? So there are so many wonderful opportunities to educate people about the nuances of library work and the different ways that we all work together, sometimes behind the scenes, to serve the community.
Yeah. Well, and this can be part of educating people about the opportunities in library science and what makes it engaging. And that leads us neatly to my next question for you, which is I would like to find out, what are the things about the work you do as a librarian, Sara, that bring you the most joy?
I really enjoy connecting with people and building community, and the library is such a central place to do that. And I love that it's a place for everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody has a resource there, whether it's space or information or just connecting with another human that will meet some of their needs. And it's the last kind of free place. Anyone can go without judgment or expectation of having to pay for anything.
Yeah.
And it just really is the great equalizer. And I love that about the library. I really love connecting people with information and resources and empowering them to go learn new things and take on new skills and new knowledge. And I certainly love our patrons, and I love our staff. They're very hardworking, dedicated, and professional. So I am very, very lucky.
Well, we're all lucky, I think, for the library, for your leadership, and for the staff there who are uniformly friendly and informative and eager to help, in my experience anyway. And yeah, libraries are special places, and you describe it very well. Everybody belongs there.
That's
so
true.
It's a unifying place.
Yes.
And books are free.
Yes. Well, you can't beat the price, right? Yeah.
I remember when I grew up in Jackson, Michigan, and the library was my exciting place to go as a kid, but bookish kid, okay. But it was one of those old Carnegie-funded libraries, a big kind of marble building, and it had a huge children's room on the second floor with a beautiful wooden floor, and I would just settle in there and cruise the shelves, and it was my happy place.
It can feel like home. It's very warm and comforting. You have these cozy little nooks where you can sit and just
Absolutely.
enjoy a quiet moment. And
Absolutely.
The world is chaotic sometimes, and the library can be a haven for
That's right. Absolutely. Well, libraries are havens and have been havens, but they've have had to change a lot because of technology, which has just brought enormous changes to how people access books and information. And so I wanted to talk to you about what are the biggest changes, Sara, that you've seen in how technology has affected libraries' mission and the work and training that librarians get since you began your career.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we certainly saw some really big changes with COVID, right? It really got us to think about how should we pivot to provide services when people maybe can't come to the building or they're not comfortable coming to the building. How can we leverage our technology that's at hand, and how can we make people simultaneously feel comfortable with that technology? So we were able to utilize things like Zoom programming, and we find that we are delivering a lot of technology assistance to people who come in with their device, and maybe someone's given them that device for Christmas or the holidays, and they say, geez, I need help. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know where to go to get assistance. And it can feel so intimidating. I just do find that technology has opened the door for lots of different means of consuming information. And it's great for folks who maybe can't make it into the building as frequently. It's just giving us a lot of options and opportunities to diversify the ways that we can share resources with people. It's streamlining and improving efficiency for some things, for some processes. It's helping build in privacy for people in some ways, which is something that the library really values. So we do try to strike a balance between the traditional mission and sort of thinking to the future. So we do retain all of our print materials and then some. And of course we have a local history archival center where we're retaining a lot of those really valuable and rare items for research. But when you marry that with something like a genealogy database, for instance, you're able to get the whole picture. So I think it's a wonderful complementary tool, and there's always a new avenue to explore there. I don't think that technology will replace print books ever. I don't think that it's ever going to dominate the landscape of the library entirely. I think it will just be a tool that helps us better serve people.
Well, you know, it's interesting for you to say that about print books, because I have a Kindle now that I do use, but I didn't want one initially. Somebody gave it to me as a present. But now I find it, you know, I use it all the time because it's so, you don't have to carry a bunch of, like when you travel, it used to be, what do I take? I need a novel, I need a nonfiction, I need a mystery, and you're on one little container. On the other hand, there is a real traditional kind of joy and pleasure to having a tangible book in your hand, and you can easily flip back and forth in the pages in the same way that I miss bookstores because it was such a joy to go, and you didn't have to know what you were looking for. You could just go to a section and scan the shelves and find out what was there. But I think it's wonderful that you offer help with technology to patrons, because there are so many changes, often so quickly, in front of us in terms of...
We barely have the ability to keep up sometimes, and we're exposed to it all the time. But we want to make sure people have options, whether you want that print book by your bedside at night or the Kindle on vacation.
Right.
But we want you to feel comfortable and confident using those resources, and we feel a responsibility to help you get to that stage so that it does then become an indispensable part of your life.
Right, absolutely, yeah. Well, you know, we're talking about some of the changes and how libraries have adapted, but I wonder, I'm sure that, as it's clear, many of those changes you welcome, but are there things that you miss about the way things used to be in libraries when you started out?
Oh, goodness. You know, I certainly think, and I speak on behalf of our staff, we definitely miss Giselle. But we can't keep her forever.
Could you say, because some people may not know whom you're referring, I know the former.
Yeah, so Giselle Stevens was our former head librarian, and she worked at the library for 18 years.
Yeah,
and
that's
she
a long
was a local
run.
resident, and just an effervescent person, a joy, and really very connected to the community. And when you lose a long-time employee, you do lose some of those that institutional knowledge and those connections. And so, you know, I think particularly with any kind of service work now, you are seeing a little bit more turnover. Teachers, healthcare, libraries, other kind of frontline facing work, you are seeing a little more turnover, and I think COVID had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
If anything, I would say I am longing for the days when maybe there was a little bit more longevity. But hopefully the tide will turn on that and things will reach equilibrium.
Even out,
Yeah, because I think it is a profession that people want to pursue and stay involved with long term. It grows on you in such a way that you become so passionate and deeply rooted with it. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything really significant that I would say I miss about the way things used to be. The library tends to be a profession where sometimes we can seem a little reluctant to change, or maybe our visitors feel a little reluctant to some of those changes we're introducing, because we are seen as such a stable and reliable institution. The good old reliable library, I know what to expect. So we're trying to strike a balance between, again, providing those traditional resources and offering people new options for building community and exploring resources.
The stacks will always be with us.
That's right, yeah.
and a reading room with periodicals, perhaps, as long as we still have periodicals,
Absolutely.
will always be with us. And that, I think, is reassuring for people, Sarah, because this is what we grew up with.
Yeah. And our newspapers and our reading room is probably the most popular part of the library.
Oh, no kidding.
Every day we have a number of people coming in just for the routine of
Yeah.
coming in to read the paper,
Yeah.
catch up on the news. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the librarian's community center, which I know is
Right.
an important value for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So probably nobody misses the card catalog. And I may be dating myself. I know there are younger generations that know, what's a card catalog?
Right, yeah. But again, we're there to help you learn the digital if you need assistance. So, yeah.
Well, you've referenced some of the services that you offer, and I think there are some people who may not have known that, the archival services was there, or that the training and the assistance with learning computer skills was there. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit more about some of the services and programs that the library does offer that people may not be aware of, and just so we can spread the word, Sarah.
Sure. So we do offer a variety of programs for people of all ages. I'm happy to say Children's Storytime is returning in September.
Oh, great.
After a very successful and busy summer reading program. We did several Yankee homecoming programs. So we do a lot of collaborative partnerships with other events in the city and departments in the city. We offer a yoga program, a movie matinee. We offer a growing library of things. So these are tangible items like a projector somebody could take home to watch a movie, other tech gadgets, lawn games to play. So a lot of interesting sort of 3D objects that are beyond the
Interesting.
traditional.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
And I use the library all the time.
Our friends of the library fund a fabulous museum pass program, and we offer deeply discounted or free admission to, I think, 19 attractions
Wow.
in the region. And so some of those include like the aquarium,
Yeah.
the zoo, the Children's Museum of New Hampshire, the trustees of the reservation and the parks passes. Those are very popular.
I'll bet, yeah, because some of those admissions can be pricey.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a great cost savings.
Yeah.
And it's free to everybody, just like every resource
Yeah.
at the library. We offer digital and print subscriptions to both the Consumer Reports, New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal.
Great.
We are offering an art history group. We also have a number of programs that are focused on gardening, culture, and food, which are very popular in Newburyport. And we've recently added a Spanish language book group to our
what a great idea.
book group offerings,
Yeah.
including one that we also do a book group here at the Senior Center. So lots of things going on.
Lots of things
Yeah.
going on and lots of services. And as I say, I suspect some people, like, I didn't know about the Library of Things. I think that's a great idea. And I know that one of the ways I find out about things happening at the library is you have a wonderful newsletter that
Yes.
comes out.
Oh.
And could you say how people can subscribe to that?
Yeah, so there is a link to sign up right on our website, and certainly a phone call to the reference desk would make that happen. And we just send that out weekly as a digest of programs that are coming up, special announcements people might want to note, and new books or other special information that might be of interest to people. We try really hard not to clog anybody's inbox with anything that they don't want, but it's a great way to just, if you don't have the time to visit our website every day or every week to look at our calendar of events and so forth, this is a good way to just get a quick snapshot. But I always encourage people, if they have time, just come in and talk to a staff member. We'll tell you an earful of what's happening that might be of interest.
There you have it, everybody, an open invitation. Visit the library.
Yes.
Meet the people. Well, I wanted to ask you, because we've been talking about how libraries have evolved with changes we know about, but change is a constant in our lives, and technology keeps evolving faster and faster. And so I wonder, Sarah, what do you envision as the future of the work of librarians and the mission of libraries with coming changes down the road with even more advanced technology?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to work very hard to keep up, first and foremost. So I think training will be critical for librarians. I think technology is going to help us improve our outreach beyond the walls of the library. And we are already doing that in some capacities. We'll take a laptop and a hotspot so that we can sign people up for library cards on the fly when we do an event, say at the farmer's market.
What a great idea.
Yeah, those are just little
Yeah.
little things that help us. I think, we're going to offer more instruction. I can see technology adding more accessibility, which is a strong interest of mine, is improving that at the library. I think we'll be able to continue leveraging digital platforms for things like training and instruction for patrons, as much as we have had with our virtual programming. As far as other changes, I do think the library is really becoming, again, pre-pandemic, I think we were becoming sort of that third space for people. And we are seeing folks return to use the library for workspaces and community organizing. It's always hard to tell what is on the horizon, but we try to be adventurous within our means just to see, and we often take a pulse of what patrons are interested in. We do track that data over the questions we receive. We work with other libraries to see what kind of trends are happening. We study professional journals. So we try to stay on top of those trends and see what is a good fit for our community.
Well, that's wonderful. And you talked about earlier about your interest in building community, and it's clear that that's part of your challenge and your mandate is to stay connected with the community, because you're a reflection of what the community, how the community itself is changing and what people need. And accessibility is one of those constantly evolving needs, and it sounds like you're prepped for that.
We're trying, we're trying. But we always welcome feedback, and every patron that I meet, I do tell them, please stop by, chat with us, let us know what would make the library a more welcoming, accessible, and inviting place for you. Because if you're asking, very likely someone else has that need as well.
No doubt, yeah. Well, thanks for that, Sarah. That was really interesting. Let's do some book talk.
Okay, my favorite.
So first of all, okay, are you a fan of ebooks, audiobooks, actual printed books, or all three?
I do find people fall pretty strongly into a preference. You hear a lot about that. And some people even go so far as to say, I only read hardbacks. I won't read a paperback.
Oh, no kidding.
I understand this. This is a preference for people. I do tend to read print books like in the evening and the weekends when I have time. Contrary to what people might think, librarians don't have a lot of time to sit and read at the desk. Our focus is, of course, serving others' interests in reading, so we do a lot of our reading outside of work. So I do enjoy a good print book, and I love an audiobook. I've been a commuter for some time, and I love to put on an audiobook while I'm doing household chores, and it feels like multitasking, and I get to enjoy a wonderful story while I'm getting something done. So I love our Libby app for downloading those audiobooks, and I do love just picking up a print book. I often fall asleep a few pages in.
I've been there.
But I have never owned a digital reader. I spend a great number of hours a week in front of a computer, and just made a decision personally that the eye strain was not for me. But
I totally understand.
I am hopeful that the library can circulate those kinds of things for the folks who do want to take something on vacation but may not feel the need to have it in their life consistently, or they want to try it before they make the commitment to purchase it.
But it's great to have those different kinds of choices. Sometimes it depends on your mood. Sometimes people clearly have a distinct preference.
Right.
And I do find I have one of those Kindles that lights up, so I can read it in bed at night without having to have a lamp on, which is very convenient.
Convenience is key, right?
Yes, convenience is key. That's right. Absolutely. So, well, all right. We've established that. Now, okay, fiction or nonfiction or both? And whatever your answer is, if you have a current or recent read of either category that you have really enjoyed and would recommend to people.
Okay. Well, I fall into the nonfiction camp, which I think most folks that I run into prefer fiction. So I am working to read more fiction so that I can be better at offering guidelines and referrals for good reads to people who are interested in fiction. That's part of our job. But personally speaking, I enjoy nonfiction books. I'm kind of a science nerd. I enjoy books about nature, animals, medicine, social topics. So that's what I often read. I recently read this book, Sitting Pretty, The View from My Ordinary Resilient Disabled Body by Rebecca Tossig. And this is just sort of a conversational book that makes it feel like it's a chat with a friend. And she is a disability advocate who brings a lifetime of experiences in her paralyzed body to talking about themes of identity, accessibility, body's representation. And it really gave me perspective to think differently and think outside the box as an able-bodied person, to think about what the world is like for somebody who has other needs. And I found this to be a really valuable read. I would recommend this to anybody who might be interested in learning more about the needs of folks with other kind of
other
physical,
ways of being.
Other ways of being, other physical needs or otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that actually you're in the majority with enjoying nonfiction the most, because I think more nonfiction books are published every year, and more people read nonfiction than fiction. I say that because there was a number of years ago I took a stab at trying to write a novel, and so I was engaged with trying to find an agent and a publisher, and it was because I love fiction. Well, I read both, but I love fiction, and so it was shocking to me to find out how much more popular nonfiction was. But you come by that honestly too because of your background as a scientist, so fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I was curious to ask you, is there a book, and maybe it's the one you already talked about, but there's a book that you find is underappreciated and deserves more popularity and to be better known, that you just wish more people would read?
Oh, goodness. That's a great question.
Well, I'm the kind of person who, when I go to the library and they have a shelf of our librarians recommend, I take librarian recommendations seriously. So, or if you go to a bookstore, remember bookstores?
Yeah.
When they have our staff recommends, and then there's a little description. So I pay attention to those things. So if I'm going to have a head librarian on the air, I'm going to ask you.
Well, gosh, I hate to give a pat answer, but I think the most underappreciated book is the one you're not reading.
No, that's a great answer.
The one that you don't give a chance to, right? And the more you explore, the more you learn, the more you enrich your life, the more you understand about the world. And I think that reading just makes us more well-rounded, compassionate people, whether you are reading fiction or nonfiction. Right. So I would say a lot of books are underappreciated.
This is true.
And everybody would have an opinion about which ones those might be. But I would just encourage folks to try something maybe outside of your wheelhouse, because you just never know.
Yeah.
You just never know what will catch your interest.
Yeah.
And that's just such a wonderful surprise when that happens.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's a great joy to find a book that transports you to another place, another time, or perhaps even more significantly, another way of understanding the world. And that sounds like that's what Sitting Pretty does, that it will transport you to another way of understanding, a different way of experiencing the world that we live in and share. So it's good to understand.
Yeah.
And so, well, that's an excellent answer, I must say. Well, Sara, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to talk to you, and we love the library, and I think we're very lucky to have you and everyone else at the library. So stay tuned for future changes in our library, but know that there will always be certain constants like the stacks in the reading room.
Right. Yes, and our staff are there to help you for anything that you might have questions about. Please come and chat with us. It's our favorite thing to do, is connecting with those folks in our community.
Well, there you have it. Visit the library. You'll make a librarian very happy.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you for taking time to visit the show, Sara. I really have enjoyed talking to you, and I'll see you at the library.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, you take care now. That's it for today, everybody. Take care. Thanks for watching and listening to The Morning Show.